Hello again, everyone. Today I am here to swatch one of my newer, larger palettes that I put together of watercolor. And I showed this particular palette on a previous video. This is my Bunny Nightmare palette. But said I would swatch it later, so that's what I'm doing today. And then the prior video, which I will put a link to down below if I didn't say that already. Oops. Swatched this palette on Astrology Notebook, and I'm now going to show you what all those swatches look like dry. So here we go. You can really see the color separation, the granulation, all of that kind of stuff. Like here's Da Vinci's Joyce's Mother Violet that has this color separation. This is Masha's, what's the name of it? Something Planet. And it has those really interesting color separation. Just really interesting on this paper. So I'm going to do these on this paper as well, but I'm going to do it a little differently than last time. Basically, I have my overhead light off right now because I think there is enough light to go ahead and film this so that you don't get a glare. And then I am going to make this the majority of the screen. And I've already wet my watercolors. So let me see. I don't want to, oops, sorry, a little bit of a bounce there. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. And like I said, I've already wet my watercolors, so you don't have to watch me do that. And this palette, like I said in that prior video, is a compilation of mostly opaque watercolors from, and I think these are all handmade by small makers. So I'll just go through them and then I'll tell you what each one is as we go. All right. So the first one is this really beautiful gold by Wildthorn. Hopefully you can see. I will, at the end, I will put this up to the camera. I'm not going to do it between each row like I was trying to do before. But this way you won't see the glare because I don't have the light on, but it might not be as bright. Okay, and last time, because I couldn't do all of the colors in one row, I probably will, try to make them all fit here somehow. So this next one is by Ocean Paper, and it's called Mustard. You can see that gold is already running into, it's a very pushy gold, I've noticed this. Ocean Paper, Yellow Ochre. A lot of these are Ocean Paper. And I really love their watercolors. I don't know how great they are for traditional watercoloring, but they're really great for using watercolors in mixed media. Okay, and this is Raw Sienna, also by Ocean Paper. This next one is a color called Climate Change is Real by Case for Making. Then I have a color called Yarrow from Wildthorn. Wildthorn's a really lovely handmade watercolor company. And this next one is called Deshali. That's the name of the brand. Sleep. Next one is one of my favorites. It's Stone Ochre by Ocean Paper. I don't think I got a lot. There we go. And did I say that this is Stalogy paper? This is Stalogy paper, folks. So it's not traditional watercolor paper. And because of that, the colors will not dry as fast, but they do show up really great on there. This is Night Dune by Ocean Paper. And I learned this trick from Irit Landgraf here on YouTube. I have a link to her YouTube channel on the prior video that I'm linked to down below, but I'll put her link again here. All right, and this is Deep, Deep Light called Fly. I think it's kind of a play on fly speck because there's tiny little specks in here. And maybe you might be able to see them when I put this all closer up at the end. This is Case for Making Smoke. And I have two more here. This is that watercolor brand I never remember. Let me see. Hold on a second. Let me, because I just wrote this down. This color is Redbud, or this brand name is Redbud. It's the name I always forget. I'm not quite sure why it's so hard for me to remember Redbud, but it is. But that's what the maker is there. This is another deep, deep light color called Bat. And deep, deep light isn't necessarily known for their opaque watercolors, but they did have a set recently that was a really nice compilation of opaques. And this is Silk Gray by Ocean Paper. Seashell, again by Ocean Paper. Those are kind of light. You're not going to be able to see those too well. Next one is Naples Yellow by Ocean Paper, and that one's going to be almost invisible. It's a very light yellow. And then we have Wild Thorn Buff Titane. This is Ocean Paper Sandstone. Let me get a little bit more of that. Sandstone. And I really like how a lot of these are fairly neutral. This is Deep, Deep Light Peach. And then we have Ocean Paper Mollusk. Ocean Paper definitely brings the intensity most of the time. And then we have Ocean Paper Peony. Ocean Paper Petal. I'm going to go down to the next row. Case for Making Blossom, which I think is a rather new color to them and is really pretty. Redbud Stargazer. And then I'm calling this one Lavender by Wild Thorn, but I think it actually has a different name. The handwriting on the pans is really hard for me to read, and I'd have to go back to my original order to find the original color. All right, this is Case for Making Lilac. And we have Wild Thorn Imperial, which is brighter than their normal colors. They're usually a little bit more muted, but that's a beautiful purple. And then we have a new brand here, Jasper Stardust Sour Violet, which is a really beautiful deep color. And the next one here is Cranberry by Deep Deep Light. Well, I don't think I had water on that one. I must have missed it. But we can still get some good intensity there. The next is Jasper Stardust again, Fox Pink. And then we have Deep Deep Light Gerda's Pink. And this one's sort of an odd color. I've never really been able to place it. Like, is it orange? Is it pink? It's just a little bit of a strange color. Deshali, and this is called Mama's Pajamas. And then we have Ocean Paper Burnt Rose. And then we have Ocean Paper English Red, which is always very opaque, even outside of this brand. And we have Burnt Sienna, again by Ocean Paper. I'm going to be calling this one brown, but it's another wild thorn color that I wasn't quite sure what it was. And the colors rotate at wild thorn, so you won't necessarily be able to get the same color again anyway. Ocean Paper is a little more reliable. I think they have a pretty consistent catalog of colors. All right, and the last one on this middle row is Dashali Cave. And I'm actually going to try and pull that one out just a little bit because that does actually have some really nice granulation. I don't know if we'll be able to see that or not. All right, another row. This is Ocean Paper Khaki. Ocean Paper Raw Umber. Ocean Paper Greenish Umber. So as you can see, the majority are Ocean Paper. This next one is Ocean Paper Golden Olive. Seems like a very suitable color for that. Okay, this next one is Ocean Paper Foliage. Heading into the greens here. Next one is Wild Thorn Thyme. I was actually able to read that. T-H-Y-M-E, Thyme. Okay, and then we have Ocean Paper Tropical Lush. And the next one is Dashali Rain and Honey. And again, I think with Dashali you have a pretty consistent palette, although I think sometimes new colors are added. Same with Deep Deep Light, you can probably get the same colors from them. They have a pretty good catalog. Deep Deep Light Solstice Fern. It's that Ruby company again. Lichen. This one's kind of interesting because it has, sorry, Redbud. Redbud is the name of that. Wow, I have like a total mental block for that, clearly. All right, we have Ocean Paper. This is Fern. And then we have Case for Making Cypress. And this is actually a color that I also had in that last palette. And it also contains some fluorescent pigment in there. And then we have Ocean Paper Shadow Green. It's interesting how these pool sometimes on this Stalogy paper. The Stalogy paper is coated, which is why the watercolor does not seep in, but it does allow you to get these really pretty, pretty watercolor that sits on top of the paper. All right, and then we have Ocean Paper Epic, or Epoch. And then we have Ocean Paper Sea Mud. We have a Wild Thorn Blue Gray, which I'm not sure of the name of. Really beautiful color though. Ocean Paper Slate Green. And these are all pretty similar in here. This next one is Ocean Paper Sea Clay. Some of these I purchased individually, and some of them were part of sets from Ocean Paper. All right, and then we have Deep Deep Light Mint, which is a very light color. You can barely even see it on here. I thought about not including it because it's so light, but I think sometimes it's nice to have that sort of ethereal blue color. You can see here, Deep Deep Light Mint. That's what it looks like here on watercolor paper. Here, I can show you all of these on watercolor paper. Next, we're going to be going on to this one, which is Shale by Ocean Paper. And then we have Jasper Stardust Copper Turquoise. Ocean Paper Glass, which is another one of my favorites by them. Really beautiful. Definitely looks a lot like sea glass. And then we have Deshali Ghost. And the next one is Case for Making Pacific, which is a really beautiful teal color. And this is another Wildthorn color that I'm just calling dark teal because I'm not sure of the name. Oh, sorry. That was actually a duplicate of Pacific. This is the dark teal. My goodness. I was like, that looks really similar. Let me try and pick up some of that pigment so you can actually see that that is indeed a teal. Sorry about that. And then this last one in this row is Deep Deep Light Juniper Shadow. And this is one that I should try and pull out a little bit as well because there is some really nice stuff going on with that one. All right, and we're going on to the next row. And this next one is a really beautiful new color by Case for Making called Topaz. And it does actually have some fluorescent pigment in here, and it does some really neat things when it starts to separate. You might be able to see that when you keep an eye on that. All right, the next one is Ocean Paper Midnight Lagoon. Might need to jam some in here at the end. Then I have Colors of the Iron Range Zirconium Cerulean Blue, which Zirconium Cerulean, there's a few different brands that make it. The other one that comes to mind is A Gallo, and I think Jasper Stardust as well. But the A Gallo one is one of my all-time favorite pigments, and this one is probably a close second because it's pretty. But the A Gallo one is amazing. I have that one in my separate A Gallo palette. And this is Ocean Paper Azure, or Azurite. And then we have Ocean Paper Paris Blue. And this one, the texture of this one has always been a little weird. Like it has some grainy stuff going on in it, but it's still a really pretty color. And it looks much darker in the pan than it shows up on paper. This is Ocean Paper Indigo. And then we have Ocean Paper Warm Indigo, which if you see, it does look a little bit different. It's very similar, but it is, in fact, a little warmer than the previous one. It's very slight. Warm Indigo. And then we have Deep Deep Light Ruta's Dream, which is a really interesting color. This is a color that looks green when it goes down, but then it like turns purple, which is really kind of weird to me. I don't even know how they did it, but it's very beautiful. All right, and then I have another wild thorn color that I'm calling Amethyst. And the next one is Deep Deep Light called Flax. This is Dashali Fog. And two more. I'll put them down below. Colors of the Iron Range Cool Gray. Here, I'll put a little bit more down there so you can see it. It's a really beautiful cool gray. And then I have Red Bud. I remembered it this time. And this color is called Eucalyptus, which is another lovely, lovely color. Okay, so that's all the colors in this palette. I'll show them to you again, what they look like in the pan. It's just such a satisfying palette to look at and to swatch because all these colors are really, really beautiful. And here is the swatch card on watercolor paper. And then here it is on Nostalgia paper. I'm putting that watercolor palette away so that I can put this up to the camera. They are clearly not going to be dried. These are going to show up more like what they would show up like dried than the last palette I swatched on Nostalgia paper. Because these are opaque, they're kind of dry, mostly opaque, whereas the transparent colors sometimes will shift quite a bit when they dry. So here we go. And, you know, like this one is that Case for Making Blossom color, and that's already completely dry. This is that Red Bud. I've forgotten which color that is, but it has some lovely color separation. And you can actually see, so this is that Case for Making Topaz. So you can see, I think the fluorescent is that green, and it shows up really, really nicely. And this one's really beautiful as well. So is this one. I mean, you could probably paint a whole ocean with that color. Really pretty. Yeah. And here's that Ruta's Dream, where you can see, I mean, it's almost gray, actually. This might actually change when it dries, but you can see here, let's see if you can see, there's a real purple undertone there, which is beautiful. And some of these colors have some really nice granulation as well, like this one, although it's such a saturated pigment, you're not necessarily seeing that very well. But such lovely colors. And it's really nice to have palettes like this where there's not a color I don't like. I mean, the only color in here that I was even on the fence about adding was this Mint by Deep Deep Light, only because it's so light and it's not really well pigmented. So I wondered, you know, am I actually going to be using that much? But it is pretty, even though it's subtle, and I think I will definitely use it. But I mean, any of these colors would be a joy to paint with. And recently, actually, I created some new backgrounds, watercolor backgrounds with these, well, a selection of these colors, to try and make some more assemblages with little cutout collaged birds and leaves and that sort of thing. And these colors worked really, really well for that. And the formula, and I put a picture up of the full sheet on my Instagram, but my formula for most of those is two colors that are close to each other, one darker, one lighter. So I would go, you know, for example, I would go with this and then maybe this color because they're in the same color family. And then I would do a contrasting color. So, you know, if I did this and this, and then I might go with the lavender here. and then all of them had a little bit of this gold. And it really, really worked well. So basically I went through the palette and said, okay, I'm gonna pick two similar colors, one lighter, one darker, contrasting color. So that was just an example there, but you could also go with, so like this lighter green and this darker green. Maybe I'd probably go with this one more because this one's more similar to that one. So I'd go with these, one dark, one light. And then because red is the complement, I could go with red, or it could go with purple, or it could go with pink. So, you know, because it's not a hard and fast rule, obviously. So I could go with these and then maybe go with, you know, this imperial purple, or maybe go with this blossom color, or, you know, this, whichever color this was. So there, I kind of like that because, and then I would basically put down a wash of each color, one by one. So basically I'd do one with a wash of this color and then drop in some of this other color that I used, and then drop in some of the other color, and then I would rotate and do it, one color being the main color and then dropping in. So, and that leads to some really beautiful effects. I just kind of let them blend together. I use a lot of water. I might, I've done that technique on the channel before. I'll see if I can find that video where I did the the watercolor backgrounds for that. But yeah, but this color range is just so fun to do that with, and it's just a joy to paint with. But that's all I had for you today. Feel free to subscribe to keep track of future videos on my channel. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I hope to see you next time, but in the meantime, have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye.